A trend in the rap industry is when a rapper passes away, somehow a lot of their music contains weird lyrics that relates to exactly how they passed, leaving many fans to believe that it was all staged and that they're just hiding. Starting out with XXXTentacion, as photos went viral from a TV program based on religious camps, and in this camp there is no internet access, no cell phones or TVs, but one of the people that was attending the camp looked a lot like XXXTentacion, making some rappers believe that he is still alive. As when you review the police documents from his passing, there is something strange. Very similar to the trial of X's passing, where the lawyers that were defending the suspects of Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen were all convinced that Drake was responsible for his passing.
Breath. Before X, he said, if anybody, it's Drake. And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, two masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, if anybody is straight, do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him, they talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No, they never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? And you say, hey, it's so-and-so, you better believe so-and-so is gonna get investigated. But in this case, they didn't do it. They didn't do it because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
Now, the lawyers are stating that Drake was responsible for this due to XXXTentacion putting on his Instagram before passing, if anyone tries to get me, it was at Champagne Poppy, aka Drake. I'm snitching right now. Now, to understand this fully, we need to dive deep into June 18th, 2018. This is the day that XXXTentacion sadly passed, as his day begins with him driving in his black BMW i8, driving over to Riva Motorsports. It is a massive retailer for motorcycle, boats, and off-roading vehicles. Once arriving to the store, X would find a motorcycle that he really likes. He would also learn by a manager that they do cash deals for a discount. X's mother never let him go to the bank alone, so X would go and pick up his uncle, so then someone could also drive his i8 back home while he drives the new motorcycle. XXXTentacion and his uncle head over to the Bank of America, as security surveillance footage would catch X walking into the bank.
During your encounter with Mr. Envoy during this time, what was his demeanor like? It's fine. Who's that? He's exactly.
The bank teller that X was speaking with showed up during his trial. She would state that the Florida rapper wanted $250,000 in cash. She had to reject him as their policies only allow $50,000 withdrawals without a cash order. X said that that was fine. She handed over $50,000 and ordered the rest for him for a later date. However, what XXXTentacion didn't realize when leaving the Bank of America was that the four suspects of Michael, Dedrick, Trayvon, and Robert were all scoping out his BMW i8 in the parking lot. Robert Allen ended up snitching in this court case, and he mentions that they were already planning on committing a crime this day for money, and X's supercar driving right in front of them practically made everything a gold mine in their eyes. So once realizing whose vehicle it was, the four of them would end up following X all the way back to Riva Motorsports with two objectives: snatching his diamond chain and seeing how much money was in his Louis Vuitton duffel bag. Now, XXXTentacion would drive straight back over to Riva without realizing the four suspects are right behind him. X pulls into the parking lot. Meanwhile, the four suspects would park their van across the street. X would then go into Riva. Two of the suspects hop out of their van, and they end up following X right inside of Riva Motorsports, as surveillance footage would show that the two of them locked eyes perfectly. One of the suspects was in charge of keeping an eye on him inside of the store, trying to see what is in the Louis V bag. Meanwhile, the other suspect ended up purchasing the ski masks and gloves that they were wearing for the crime. The motorcycle XXXTentacion wanted to purchase, he ended up changing his mind and not wanting it. Him and his uncle would then leave the motorcycle shop still wearing the Louis Vuitton pullover bag with all of the money still in it. With X going back into his BMW, the two suspects inside of the store were then seen sprinting to their van that's parked across the street. It's in this moment where X made the worst decision ever, as he would sit in park for roughly 5 minutes, giving the two suspects on the inside have enough time to go go across the street and make a game plan. When it was time for X to start leaving, he would turn on his vehicle and end up trying to exit the parking lot. However, the van that was parked across the street would end up blocking his way. With X not really knowing what to do, two of the suspects then hop out of the van. They both go to X's side of the car holding firearms, demanding him to roll his windows down and hand off the bag of money. X was stuck and had nowhere to go. He tried refusing it, but he was making the men very angry, causing a small brawl just through his little window of his BMW i8. But it's this moment where XXXTentacion's uncle in the passenger seat is then seen opening up his door, sprinting away, leaving X all by himself. With him opening up the side door, it gives another entrance for one of the suspects to go to. So now there's one in the passenger side as well as X's window. And we all know what happens then after that, as the two men were using firearms and they were able to run off with X's Louis V bag full of cash, and they would hop back into their van, making a quick and fast getaway. In court, it would be revealed, and I quote, "The prosecutor says Dedrick Williams was driving and cut off the car that was being driven by X. Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom put on the ski masks and they had the firearms. The passenger manages to run away. The two approach X and Boatwright does the act towards him. Now, the X trial thankfully had one snitch, and it would be none other than Robert Allen. Robert revealed everything about the passing that you most likely don't even know. We learned exactly how the $50,000 the suspect stole was split between the four, as Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon all got $15,000 each. This means that Robert Allen was only given $5,000. It's very funny the man that was paid the least is the one that ends up snitching. But there's also a tweet that goes and states, "These pictures are taken after XXXTentacion's passing. It's the same day it shows defendant Michael Boatwright flashing a lot of cash. Defendant turned state witness testifies that that is X's cash, and the photos were only taken hours after the incident, where it would reveal the photos of the suspects flexing a few $1,000s worth of cash, thinking they're cool. However, they could have made the money legally working at a McDonald's. Shortly after Robert shared the money, he would end up sharing what X's last words were. After the incident was done and the suspects hopped back in the vehicle, they allegedly shared what X said. As even shared by DJ Academics, XXXTentacion's last words were, "What is this for?" making his passing feel even more upsetting, as X didn't even know what was going on and it all went down within seconds. With surrounding witnesses at the scene taking photos, publishing it everywhere on social media, rappers would be quick to begin reacting. Juice WRLD, who exchanged many conversations with X, had this to share on his experience with the rapper.
We had a couple like deep conversations, talked on the phone a few times. He had nothing but positive stuff to say. For real, for real. We had respect for each other at the end of the day. And that's what was gonna kind of lead into a friendship. He just said, make sure it's keep all negative people out of your life. And just make sure that you have good energy around you, pretty much.
He'd also hop on a radio station interview where he shared this about the creation of his song titled Legends, which honors late rappers X and Lil Peep.
And that Legends record, it speaks because like you dropped it right after, you know, X.
I made the same night he passed away.
Wow.
Talk
about that.
Yeah, what was that relationship like?
We weren't the best of friends. We had a couple like deep conversations though. He had nothing but good advice.
Then we would see Ski Mask the Slump God react and sharing his upbringing with XXXTentacion.
I met X in juvenile jail. Both was in juvenile jail spending time. Then we just was like, yeah, we need an outlet to just stop getting in trouble. All we like to do is hit licks and like do hood friends. Long story short, so it's just like, all right, we need to find something to do. So we was like in there just beating on the tables because all you can really do is sit there and stare at each other. So we sitting there beating on the chairs and stuff, and then we just like figured out each other could rap, and then we just like helped each other.
As Ski would also go on to share how they originally produced their unique, distorted type of music, just like their collaboration song titled Take a Step Back.
X recorded my first song. He ordered the stuff off of eBay. It was like a snowball mic. It was like the cheapest mic you could get. It sit on like 3 prongs or 4 prongs, one of those. And it was like just a basic Audacity and like a laptop. So, but that's how we got distorted music.
Just like X collaborated with Ski Mask, he would also go on to make a song with Trippie Redd, who he says they became very close friends, and Trippie actually considers him a best friend.
I was going to Miami to do several shows, and
I performed in Orlando, and then I performed in Miami with X. Ever since I had met bro, we had just became like super cool friends, and now that's my best friend, I could say.
As these two would go on to create the hit song titled Love. This would amass nearly 400 million views, where Trippie would speak on how he even got onto the song.
I was in Lil Wayne's studio, and I had recorded over this detail beat. It was the Love chorus, and then I had posted an Instagram snippet, or the day after, matter of fact, and X had texted me and he was like, bro, I need that. I sent it to him. And he was like, bro, I'm putting this on my album. I'm like, all right, bet.
What many don't even know is that XXXTentacion was best friends with a rapper named Denzel Curry. Not only were the two friends, but they actually lived together in South Florida for quite some time. Denzel would end up discussing the different stages of X's appearance, giving meaning to all of the styles that he had.
There was different eras of X. Like black hair era, like when he just had regular hair. When I met him, you know, he was just coming up, just doing his thing, just coming up, just making music. You know what I mean? I had the blonde and black era when he had the half blonde, half black hair. And that's when, you know, when all the crazy stuff started happening with the allegations, with, you know what I'm saying, the trial, the shows. Then it went to the transition where white hair X, where he first got the tree in the middle of his forehead. That was like his evolving state. Then it went to Indigo X. He described it as Indigo X. When we talked, the last time we talked, he said the reason why he changed his hair, and he just felt like he understood how it was being a bad person and how easy it was.
Another rapper's passing that didn't make much sense due to the lack of evidence is Tupac Shakur. With the advancement of technology in the last 27 years ever since Tupac passed, the police are now finding new evidence about his passing, but it is very strange. As when you compare the evidence of him being alive to the police records of him passing, there is definitely something missing, and it begins with a rapper named Treach. In 2010, Treach was interviewed on the topic of Tupac before a show. Treach and Tupac were very close friends back in the day, and they even worked on a few albums together, but here's where things get strange. After Treach's interview, the cameraman forgot to stop recording. He placed his camera onto the ground, and in the footage, you can hear the interviewer asking Treach about Tupac, to which Treach responds, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba."
So if you ain't ready for it, get on the sidewalk.
One last question. Nobody knows.
Y'all good?
Yeah, we good. Thanks a lot, man. We good.
Last time I saw him, he was in church.
Then just 3 weeks later, a video would be released from a news website showing a video of Tupac supposedly chilling in a parking lot in Cuba.
Zoom in. That's Pac, man. He with the outlaw. And Reg from Holla Back is trying to be friendly and get autographs. Holla Back exclusive, baby. Holla Back.
As Suge Knight even also agrees to Tupac being alive and well. He has said so in so many interviews over the course of 2 decades now. An interview from Suge Knight would make a very convincing case towards him still being here, as Tupac was allegedly doing fine in the hospital before his passing, as stated by Suge Knight himself.
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
But what's weird about this is that Tupac was supposedly in a deep sleep. So how in the world would he and Suge be laughing and joking if Tupac was sleeping? It doesn't really seem to add up, but in 2008, Suge Knight would stand on business and even say the exact same thing as he said. Tupac was alive and that he is well.
So he was conscious on the way to the hospital?
He was conscious on the way to the hospital. He was conscious in the ambulance. He was conscious after they did the surgery.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They love me.
However, this time after that interview, 2 weeks later, when Suge would leak this information during the interview, he almost lost his life at a nightclub when a man used a firearm in his direction 6 times. However, in the moment, Knight knew that this had something to do with Tupac, so he was hesitant to tell the police anything. However, Suge Knight Jr. would also make the same mistake. Son of the famous Suge Knight, in 2018 would post to his Instagram to state that Tupac was alive and well and living in Malaysia. Similar to his dad, somebody would retaliate against him, as he would end up posting another photo to his Instagram showing a text conversation where someone said, "You said too much, it's now time for you to go." Suge Knight Jr. would then start panicking, posting several photos of Tupac alongside modern day celebrities such as 50 Cent and Beyonce. And he also made it look like someone was going after him for leaking all of this info, as on the photo with Tupac and Beyonce, he would caption it, and I quote, "He never left us, but they'll be after me soon." Some believe that this was a publicity stunt for Suge Jr. to gain social media clout, but others believe that it was factual, because if there was someone to know more information on Tupac, it would likely be Suge Knight's son. However, the recent evidence found in 2024 has actually changed everything. Sources are even claiming that Snoop Dogg is also being investigated for having involvement now, as it would be announced, breaking, Snoop Dogg arrested and questioned to Tupac Shakur's passing. The police are questioning his recent interview, as Snoop Dogg was recently invited onto a podcast where he would reveal that he was actually supposed to be there on the night that Tupac passed, and he was supposed to be in the vehicle that they were driving in.
You were with Tupac, though, in regards to Tupac. I heard a story, did you give him different advice that night on where to go?
I didn't give him no advice.
Right.
We wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So.
Saying during the Tyson.
Yeah, this incident that I'm explaining to you right now was the day before that.
Okay.
So when they got to Vegas, they went their way, I went back. I mean, when we got to LA, they went to Vegas and I went home. That's why I wasn't in the car with them.
The police are questioning on why Snoop didn't get into that vehicle and why he changed his mind last minute. Did Snoop know something was gonna happen, as he was very tapped into the streets heavily in 1996? So the real question is, did he know something was about to go down? Now, according to the new police reports about Tupac's passing, something has gotta be missing, as recently the police arrested a man named Keffe D in connection to the crime.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keffe D, of Tupac Shakur. Davis was arrested this morning by my LVMPD criminal apprehension team, and this investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our section to get to where we are today.
As on September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas with the head of his record label named Suge Knight. The two were off to the MGM Grand to watch a Mike Tyson match, as after it was over, they ended up spotting an op inside of the lobby of the hotel.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. Keffe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and two of their friends were also there. Keffe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the shooting was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and beat him up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly.
Security would go on to break up the altercation between Tupac and the ops, causing Tupac and Suge to go back to their hotel room to change their clothes. Then, getting ready to go off to the club, they began driving there at around 11 p.m. Once stopped at a red light, it would all go down right in the middle of the street.
Knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keffe D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh.
With the advancement of technology over the last 2 decades, the police are now able to answer more questions that they had several years ago. It all begins with the police investigating a concerning interview by a man named Keffe D, where he would literally detail the moments of finding Tupac on the street and pulling up on him.
And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, "Tupac, Tupac."
Got to the light. We was going to go drink, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He was hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next? You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat.
He would also go on to explain that the entire altercation practically started because Tupac was reaching for his firearm. The people inside of his van saw that, and they ended up retaliating before Tupac got it up.
You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a...
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually...
No, once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car...
That's what happened.
...started at Tupac and Suge.
These are very bold claims to make in an interview where you just met DJ Vlad in. He was very skeptical, so he wanted some proof. Keefe D would then supply him with a never-before-seen police interrogation on the night of the crime.
Lane starts... you say Suge looks over, he sees you?
Yeah.
He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out of the line.
back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen him going Suge head. I thought he was...
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window.
As this now confirms his involvement in the crime as well as proves that he was actually there. In a separate DJ Vlad interview, he would then go on to ask Keefe D his reaction to Tupac's passing, to which he had to go and say,
Yeah, I hate that happened, dog. I really do, man. Cause if a lot of people's lives, dude. Hate that happen. Promise to God. I feel that was wrong, man. It was just purely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I wish it never happened. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it. Wish it never happened, dude. You know what I'm saying? I lost my Colombian plug. You know what I'm saying? Had been having the feds up for 15 years. Couldn't do nothing. Couldn't catch a break, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I did time for it.
Before doing any of the DJ Vlad interviews, Keefe D wasn't really known at all. However, this is why it is so weird that he actually released an entire book on being involved in his passing titled Compton Street Legend a few years ago. In the book, he literally hints towards doing the crime and being there. So why is he now just being arrested for it after decades? Fans believe that it's a cover-up that Tupac is still alive. But Juice WRLD's passing still leaves fans wondering what truly happened, because rappers are investigating Ali Lottie's recent claims about Juice WRLD's passing. Juice's ex-girlfriend Ali Lottie has been making many bold claims during a recent Instagram live, where she would say, and I quote, "Do you guys really think Juice passed from that? You are wrong, you're wrong, literally you're wrong. There's a lot of things you guys don't even know." Now this makes many believe that Juice WRLD may have stayed true to his word in 2017, where Juice would tweet, "My goal is to get overly famous, shine for a couple years, and then fake my passing." So what is the truth? Well, to understand everything, we first need to dive deep in December 8th, 2019. As on December 8th, Juice WRLD alongside his girlfriend Ali, his filmer, and his security were all boarding a jet and flying into Chicago. While boarding the plane, it was already late for around 50 minutes, as the flight attendants, as well as the captain, didn't want to take off yet. The entire flight felt very strange to Juice WRLD's friend.
It was acting weird, the stewardess lady was acting weird, and I just felt something off. I got up to like, yo, we should leave. You know what I mean? I got up and walked to the door, and then like, crazy, to see if the cars were still there, and I'm like, because I was gonna be like, yo, let's just go off this plane. Yeah. Like,
as the reasoning for the flight being delayed for 50 minutes would then be exposed only 3 months after his passing, as sources claim the pilot was the first one onto the plane. But while Juice and his company were boarding the jet, the pilot was able to smell very strong narcotics. He would follow his job's protocol by leaving the jet and calling law enforcement immediately. On Juice WRLD's private jet, he brought on multiple illegal items onto the flight, from having 70 pounds of extracurricular items stuffed into suitcases, 2 firearms with high-capacity magazines, alongside multiple items stuffed into Ali Lottie's handbag. The police would end up telling the captain, who was on the phone with police for roughly 10 minutes, to resume the flight as normal. Don't make any weird movements and just fly the plane to Chicago. This is exactly why Ali Lottie herself ended up blaming the pilot for Juice's passing on Instagram Live.
I've lost 2 of the most important people in my life
because of snitches.
As in, what world would law enforcement tell a pilot to just resume the flight as normal? But this is exactly what would happen. The flight was going normal as usual. However, they would reach the point when arriving in Chicago where you're allowed to turn off airplane mode on your phone. Being 5 minutes left until they reached the airport, Juice's team would receive a text message of a warning.
Everything was normal and everything was fine. And once we started getting closer to Chicago and we started getting service on our phones, our security guard, Hen, texted the group chat and was basically like, cops are here and they have a dog.
As the entire airport was quickly swarmed with security, police officers, as well as canine units. And it would be at this moment where everyone inside of the private jet would quickly begin panicking, so Juice WRLD would end up grabbing the extra items that were stuffed into Ali Lottie's handbag. Now, law enforcement believed that during the flight, when Juice WRLD and his team were told that the police were awaiting their arrival, Juice WRLD would end up taking more and more of the items in Ali's handbag to hide them from the authorities. This is because the plane was rented in Juice WRLD's name, meaning all of the illegal items on the flight would be put onto him when it comes to law enforcement searching his plane. We're unsure of the exact amount of time Juice WRLD would have been locked up in prison for, but according to lawyers online, they predicted a maximum of 20 years inside a prison for using a private jet to transport 70 pounds of extracurricular items across the United States, as well as carrying 2 illegal firearms. So hearing that information would cause anyone to freak out and get nervous. So when you add all of the items that Juice WRLD took, mixed in with all of the nerves of knowing law enforcement is awaiting your arrival, this is what caused the incident to Juice WRLD's heart. Now, when it happened and they finally landed the plane, witnesses claim that Juice WRLD would be quickly transported to emergency care. However, he would sadly pass in the process. While paramedics were helping Juice WRLD, the feds and the canine units were going through the luggage on the plane. The dogs were able to quickly sniff out the illegal items, which would end up raising the question of why would Juice even bring 70 pounds on a plane? It would end up being later revealed on why he did it. Before his passing, Juice WRLD's birthday party was coming up the following day, as mentioned by his filmer Chris, who was also on the plane.
Weekend, we're going to Chicago to celebrate his birthday. It was just his birthday the other day, but we're going this weekend, Saturday. We're flying out there. We're gonna have a birthday party with his mom and family and friends and stuff like that from out there. So
then 2 of the rapper's security guards were also arrested on the scene for the firearms while inside of the airport. Then later, Juice's photographer was also arrested and booked, and he was charged with a misdemeanor of firearm violation. So with an investigation now in place by law enforcement, OG rapper Boosie would suggest that the pilot of the plane was ultimately responsible for the passing of Juice WRLD, and he would refer to the pilot as a snitch. Because how did law enforcement know that Juice would be carrying several pounds of illegal narcotics on a plane? Another theory is it may have had something to do with Ali Lottie's countless cases of trafficking charges. Her renting a private jet with her famous boyfriend may have raised a red flag in the system. However, many others believe that Juice's Instagram live streams showing everything off before getting onto the plane caused the setup by the police department so then he could finally distance himself from the spotlight. However, rappers would end up quickly reacting to the passing of Juice WRLD, where G Herbo would go on and share,
"Man, I don't know, that was my real little brother, bro. So it's like, man, I don't know, we still, we dealing with that day, to be honest, man. It's still, of course, I'm not even gonna say I don't think, it ain't even been a day he ain't crossed my mind in some form or fashion, you know what I'm saying? So
to even Post Malone sharing,
I wasn't necessarily close with him, but I got to speak to him, a couple times, and just the sweetest guy. And
as later, we would then even see the kid Leroy share his experience with Juice WRLD.
I learned a lot of stuff being around him and his process and how he records.
Most rappers would probably be making a mistake if they tried to record the way that Juice did.
No, he was the GOAT, the best.
While also sharing how Juice helped him out on his come up in his music career.
And the other thing that I took away was really getting in touch with your emotions when making a song. That's one thing that I feel like he did perfectly.
One rapper's reaction that Juice WRLD would have loved would have been from none other than Eminem. He would end up sharing his reaction on Juice WRLD as well, on the type of music artist that he is.
Yo, shout to Juice too, man. Like, yo, that kid was so talented, man. He, like, his freestyle he did on Westwood where he rapped for an hour, like, what the? That's the that we used to try to do at the hip hop shop.
Then a reaction that many fans weren't even expecting would come from Tekashi 6ix9ine. Juice and 6ix9ine actually had beef back in the day. Juice was performing at a nightclub. He got the entire crowd to start chanting about 6ix9ine. Obviously, 6ix9ine didn't like that, and he would do some more trolling on his own on his Instagram lives. However, the two resolved their beef just before his passing, so 6ix9ine would end up sharing his reaction.
Look what Juice WRLD said. This is one reason I respect Juice WRLD, right? This when I was clowning him, he messaged me. Look, Juice WRLD wrote me and said, yo, that video's so funny, I can't stop watching it. And you know what I said? I said, yo, call me. He said, you taking over the world. I said, peace, king. He said, what's your number? I sent it.
Whatever you want to do in life, find something that you don't mind doing for the rest of your life. And even if it seems like it's impossible, don't give up. Because a year ago, I was finna quit.
What is it that drives you to go that hard, though?
The love for music. I want to talk about it in music because I'm able to explain myself and talk about it in whatever, in whichever way I want to. So it gives me a lot of room to really explain the way I feel. Make sure my family and all my close ones are taken care of. That's success in my eyes. Like I like to spread joy. I like to make people happy. I like to create connections with music and vibes and bring people together.
Another rapper's passing that fans believe is more of a mystery than what we really know is King Von's, because rappers continue to react to the passing of King Von 4 years later. As recently we just heard Boosie reveal that King Von's biggest mistake on the night that he passed was that he was not strapped.
I mean, like you said, the King Von situation, like there was absolutely no reason for Von to be rolling around with that dude. Like, there was no, especially since he had security, someone should have jumped in. It should never even,
King
I almost feel like, yeah, but I almost feel like if you have real security,
all them is supposed to blast. I feel like they would have been more ready in Chicago.
Sad, man, sad. I mean, the whole King Von thing is really kind of hanging over everyone right now.
That f***ed me up, bro, Because I like King Von,
However, rappers would continue revealing new updates on the truth behind Von's passing, as on November 5th, 2020, King Von and his crew prepared to head to a club in Atlanta for his album's release party. The night was supposed to be a massive celebration of the life and success for King Von, but nobody knew that it would be so short-lived. King Von had many enemies. Growing up in a dangerous place such as O-Block, he knew the risks of being caught lacking in public. So when he was rolling to the club, King Von had a crew with him of 20 to 25 members across 8 different vehicles that all went to the surprise party. As even King Von's manager 100K Track said, Von took extreme measures for security.
I travel with one security that moves with Von, and he traveled with 2 more security. You know what I'm saying? Von traveled in a proof truck, and not only that, his guys are security, man. He travels with 10 to 15 guys daily. They protect and love Von more than any security would. I think we're about 8-10 cars deep, 20-25 on Entourage.
However, later on in the night, something would change. Von would start acting out and he would put his life in jeopardy. But in the meantime, Von's party was going great. Everyone was having a great time, celebrating the success of King Von's newest album. Then when the party ended at around 2:30 a.m., Von and his entourage began exiting the club. Everyone had the plan of returning to the Airbnb and hotels for the night, but King Von changed the plans and decided to go elsewhere.
Everybody mind leaving the club is that we're going to the hotel and the Airbnb, because that's normal routine. The club he went to, the after hours, wasn't getting paid for. I didn't have no acknowledgement of. His team didn't have no acknowledgement of. That was a complete Von decision.
Now, with the whole crew heading to the Airbnb, King Von would tell his driver to go to a different club known as the Monaco Lounge, as this would be the first bad decision that King Von made on this night.
So everybody else that was with us driving to the Airbnb, and Von literally went to the venue by himself. We got a call later from people in the car, like, hey bro, we here by, matter of fact, I think from his DJ was like, hey bro, we here by ourselves, like, where you guys at? And everybody rerouted to that venue.
Now, for some reason, the people in Von's truck only let the rest of the team know the plans have changed once they arrived at Monaco. So when the rest of the team found out at the Airbnb, they quickly turned on their vehicles and the others made a quick U-turn and started beelining it straight to the Monaco Lounge. As once Von's manager got to Monaco, he knew immediately something was off about King Von, and he wasn't acting like the upbeat guy like he usually is. He was very quiet, sitting in the back seat of his car. Now, Von's crew was ready to enter the club, but King Von sat in the truck for up to 30 minutes.
For some reason, Von wasn't himself. This man is like, I promise you, the best artist I ever moved in my life. For some reason that night, it was off. Like, he stayed in the car for like 30-35 minutes.
This is then when 100K Track got into the vehicle with Von and checked up on him. Von then finally agreed to go into the lounge. But due to Monaco's club rules, King Von's entire crew had to leave their firearms in the car. So with no firearms being inside, the security would go in the Monaco lounge first to check the club, making sure everything was safe.
I went to the car he was in. I was like, yo, Von. Went inside the passenger seat. I'm like, yo, Von, bro, what's going on? Like, everybody here waiting, let's go. He was like, all right, let's go. We're telling security, hey, it's time to go in now. Von's ready. You know what I'm saying? We've been here too long. Let's go inside the club. They check the venue, go inside, check the outside, make sure there's no...
As while the security was inside checking the club out, the real danger was actually outside of the club in a parking lot, because Quando Rondo was in his car with a couple of his own friends trying to get some sleep, with King Von and a few of his friends sitting in the parking lot waiting for the okay from their security to go in. They realized that Quando was sleeping in his car, and somebody would tell King Von that he was over there, and he would immediately begin running.
Now, right before we go inside the club, one of his homeboys, he came to the car and said, hey, so-and-so's here. And Von just jumped up like, oh, come on, let's go.
King Von reacted instantly, jumping out of the truck, looking to confront Quando Rondo. Von's team tried to get him to chill out and not start a scene, but that didn't stop him at all. King Von went around of the front of the white vehicle and immediately began swinging at Quando.
He jumped out the car. By the time Von jumped out the car, I don't even think he knew where so-and-so was. He just jumped out the car. He bumped into so-and-so. As soon as he bumped into so-and-so, started brawling.
As King Von was giving Quando Rondo the business right in the middle of the street. However, Quando's best friend Lil Tim then wakes up from his sleep in the back seat. He stumbles out of the white car with his firearm and ends up using it towards King Von and Quando right in the middle of the street. He was using it wildly, hitting Von multiple times while also hitting Von's manager once in the leg. However, some of Von's members were still strapped. They instantly retaliated against Lil Tim, making him fall to the ground only a few feet away. Then, with the sound of clips going off in the area, two off-duty officers working security down the street and one on-duty officer would quickly pull up to the scene. They would begin unleashing multiple rounds into the area, which sadly resulted in the passing of one of King Von's friends. During this, King Von is lying in the middle of the street with Quando right beside him. People online believe that Quando was actually trying to snatch Von's chain before fleeing the area, but others say that Von was not letting go of Quando no matter what. He was using him as a shield.
And was he trying to take Von's chain or?
Honest truth, I don't think V-Roy had no jewelry on, and from the people that was a little bit closer, Von was actually holding onto him like, man, you ain't going nowhere. Like, you here, like, even through getting he's that strong. Like, he was literally holding him.
Then once the scene relaxed a bit and people stopped using their firearms, the race to save King Von's life was officially on. His closest friend Muop ran right into the middle of the street. He knocked Quando right out of the way from Von. Quando and his team would then quickly leave the scene, including the hitter of Lil Tim. They would then jump into their white car and start heading to the hospital. Meanwhile, Von's crew helped him up, get into the getaway vehicle, and also drive to the same hospital. Despite being hit 4 times, King Von was conscious the entire time inside of the vehicle. The members that were in the car have spoken out saying what was going on, as they said that Von was trying to keep everyone in good spirits and assured everyone that everything would be okay.
When he was in the car, I myself wasn't there. The gentleman that was in the car with him was panicking, and Von was the one that was like, hey, calm down, slow down, chill, I'm gonna be good, just get him to the hospital. And honest truth, we all thought that the way he was carrying himself, from that incident, from what I was told from the people in the car, that he would have been fine.
After arriving at the hospital, King Von was then quickly rushed into the operating room, but unfortunately passed during the surgery. And then once the news of Von's passing shook the entire rap industry online, many couldn't even believe it, as Von is one of Chicago's most fearless and dangerous members of O Block. It was actually unbelievable to see Von had fallen to beef with another rapper.
This made national headlines as officials confirmed one of the 3 people was rapper King Von from Chicago, who was here last night with friends.
Two groups of individuals got into a physical altercation. That physical altercation escalated into an exchange of guns.
On the other side, Lil Tim did survive his injuries at the hospital. The following day, however, he was arrested and charged with the passing of King Von. Lil Tim did go through multiple bond hearings and he was denied. But in March 2021, he received a $100,000 bond, and ever since then, the charges against Lil Tim were actually dropped. As confirmed by his attorney in August 2023, it states, the case against Mr. Leaks, aka Lil Tim, was dismissed before ever being indicted. But jumping back into the year 2020, only 2 weeks after Von sadly passed, Quando Rondo would release a disrespectful track titled End of Story. This is implying that it was the end of King Von, since he is also known for the Crazy Story music series. In the lyrics, Quando goes off about that night. He says, and I quote, your brother on the ground, go pick your man up. That's right, we scream in self-defense. He shouldn't have put his hands on me. Look at the footage. That's all the evidence. See? Those men shouldn't have ran up on me. Then Lil Tim would follow it up with his track, trying to start a music career off the incident, where he raps the lyrics, and I quote, on his song Off the List, just checked a new man off the list, quick to get you down, check the score, I don't miss. This is referencing the night of King Von's passing and saying that he checked Von off of the list of people to hit. It would be this moment when Von's best friend Lil Durk, as well as O-Block members, knew that they had to do something about it. They couldn't just let them get off the hook for what they did, so in the following months, we would hear of a big-time hit against Quando's crew.
Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say at a Savannah rapper, a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath.
As a result, one of Quando's closest and best friends, Lil Pab, was taken out during the hit. News footage captured the moment that Quando found out, and he experienced the same pain that Von's friends did just 1 year prior.
This man, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
Not long after that, Durk would actually claim to be behind the hit with a diss track titled Aha, with the lyrics, and I quote, they like Durk, he is singer, he won't do some, you can believe whatever you want, I got your folks hit. And he even mentions how Quando screamed after finding Lil Pab was gone in his future on Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, where he says the lyrics, and I quote, look on the news and see your son screaming no, no. Now Quando's ultimately backed down since losing someone very close to him. He's even tried to distance himself from the entire street life. However, O-Block in general hasn't been nearly the same since King Von is gone. The members are a lot more on edge after seeing what happened to Von, someone they thought could never fall to the street life, even something as simple as going across the street to look at King Von's mural, as O-Block members would show this during an Instagram live.
Check it out, let's walk over here and see this Von picture. I know it's a lot of ops on this. I'm letting y'all see where I'm at. Why is this black truck still right here? Man. Watch that truck. Watch that truck right there.
Recently, a viral phone call to 911 for Pop Smoke's passing would leave many fans speechless online, as there could be things that we are now missing.
Hello, it's the fire department. I know, but you're not talking. We're already on our way. Give me your...
Police still don't know the motive behind this, whether it was an attempted robbery or something else.
Detectives have arrested 5 people in connection with of rapper Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke was one of the hottest rappers in the game leading up to his passing on February 19th, 2020. However, the truth behind his passing has always been a mystery until today, as the unknown secrets have finally been revealed by the suspects that were involved in the crime. It all begins on February 17th, 2020. Only 48 hours before his passing, Pop had been hanging out around New York rapper Fabio Foreign before flying back to Los Angeles.
I woke up. I guess like it had happened overnight. And it's crazy because I was just with him the night before. He flew out that night, went to LA, and then it happened. So I'm like, automatically, I'm like, it's fake.
Needing a place to stay for the weekend, Pop Smoke would rent out an Airbnb in Beverly Hills. The following morning on February 18th, Pop would share a photo to his Instagram with a view from the mansion and even tagged the Beverly Hills. At this moment in Pop Smoke's music career, he was on the uptrend, as well as learning and getting used to all of the newfound fame. He was unaware that people were watching his every single move, especially on social media, which is why with every single post that Pop would make on social media, the men that took his life got closer to tracking him down. First was his post in the mansion. They knew that he was in Beverly Hills. Pop continued sharing his day online every single hour. From having his barber even come over to give him a fresh haircut, he would even post this by the pool in the afternoon. However, his next post was when the hitters really decided to go after him, as Pop Smoke was fitted in designer clothing, and the next slide even featured him and his longtime best friend, Mike D. He was holding stacks of cash right outside of the mansion, further attracting Pop Smoke's attackers that much more. An hour later, Mike D posted these photos showing the rich life that they have been living. They then got caught up in flexing their wealth online, as this post not only revealed the front of the house, but it also included 3 digits of the home's address. All Pop Smoke's hitters now needed to figure out what was the first digit, and then they would know his exact location. For some reason, Pop Smoke and his team were terrible at hiding his location on this day, as it would only get worse later on in the night. According to reports, Pop Smoke spent the evening out shopping. Then when he returned home, Pop would relax at the crib and even shared a photo of his nighttime view. This was timestamped to be around 10 p.m., only 6 hours before Pop would sadly lose his life. 30 minutes later, Pop Smoke received a gift and even posted it onto his Facebook. Thanking designer Mike Amiri for sending some designer clothing, he was extremely excited about this gift that he didn't even realize he just showed the entire world his exact address as it was printed on the tags of the gifts in the video.
Wait. Mike Amiri. Billy Jean. Good looks, Mike Amiri. Gifts.
The robbers didn't even have to do any digging into where Pop Smoke even was, as the place that he was staying at was on the internet for anyone to view, as it was on Airbnb. According to reports, one of Pop Smoke's managers then asked him to actually delete the post after he noticed several hours later. Before anything happened, Pop then left the house again. He headed over to East West Recording Studios, which is only a few miles away. While he was gone, reports say a black BMW drove past the mansion and even parked just down the street. Security cameras captured the passenger of the BMW sneaking towards the back of the mansion. As 2 minutes later, the man then returned to his vehicle and they quickly sped away. Pop was finally finishing up at the recording studio. Him and Mike D, as well as a woman named Amelia Rose, all 3 hopped into a Range Rover and started driving back to the Airbnb. Rose and Pop were going to the master bedroom, as while Mike D was going down the hall to a separate bedroom. After being home for a few hours, a sedan then pulls up to the house around 4 a.m. With the headlights off, 4 shadows would emerge from the vehicle and go down the side of the mansion. As they snuck into the backyard, Pop Smoke is in his bathroom taking a shower while Rose is laying in bed. All of a sudden, the 4 men bursted into the bedroom, all 4 wearing ski masks and telling the lady to be quiet. Pointing firearms in her direction, the other 3 men quickly rushed into the bathroom after Pop. Rose told detectives she would hear the sounds of a struggle between them before hearing Pop Smoke scream and then a loud popping sound. This is when Pop Smoke would sadly fall to the ground. The 2 intruders continued going after him. As Pop Smoke quickly realized his life was in jeopardy, he tried getting up and running away downstairs, but unfortunately, Rose would state she heard 2 more loud pop noises and it went off. As the robbers would quickly flee the scene, grabbing anything they can, she would then quickly run down the stairs to find Pop Smoke sitting at the bottom, and at the same time, Mike D was awoken by the sound of the first firearm noise. He was hiding in his bedroom closet, waiting for all of the noise and commotion to calm down before exiting. He would quickly look inside Pop Smoke's room. However, he would just find the 2 at the bottom of the staircase, as he would then call 911.
Hello? PD, what are your numbers? Hello, this is the fire department. I know, but you're not talking. We're already on their way. Give me your... Are you in a safe place, sir?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unknown, okay. They're on their way.
Medics arrived on the scene and then rushed to take Pop Smoke to the medical center, but sadly, he didn't make it.
4:55 this morning, multiple LAPD Hollywood units responded to a call at 3 Hercules Drive in the Hollywood Hills was being broken into by multiple suspects, and that one of them was with a... When officers arrived there, they discovered inside the house and transported that to Cedar-Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced
Detectives began investigating to find who was responsible. Both the BMW and Infiniti were both noticed by detectives, as through DMV records, they would find that both cars are registered to a 19-year-old named Corey Walker. With Corey being a person of interest, a judge issued a warrant giving detectives access to his Google account. They would find a very interesting search history, as his account revealed his search of the house's address and even visited the LAPD's website only 2 hours before the crime, as he looked up the address of the real estate on the website Zillow. This gave him, as well as his team, photos to see what the inside of the house looked like, as his next search would be at 5:15 a.m., which is only 20 minutes after Mike D called 911, where he searched, and I quote, Rolex Oyster Datejust, which is the exact watch they stole from Pop Smoke in the bathroom. The value of the watch they got after robbing and doing this to Pop Smoke, they sold for around $3,000. These 4 teens ruined their entire lives just to split for $500 to $750 each. Despite having a very suspicious online record, law enforcement didn't have enough hard proof yet. It wasn't until a 15-year-old was then arrested on unrelated crimes that the case would then break wide open. Detectives had him on a person of interest list, so when they brought him into jail, they rigged his entire cell with recording devices, where he would end up confessing to his cellmate that he was involved in the robbery of Pop Smoke and that he was actually the one that used the firearm. The driver was then also arrested not too longer for other charges. He too would also confess to his cellmate and told the exact same story as the 15-year-old. According to both of them, they actually had no intention of doing this to Pop Smoke. All they wanted was his jewelry and designer clothing, but when Pop Smoke wouldn't back down in the bathroom, they panicked and then did the act. Corey Walker was the 19-year-old who stayed in the car during the robbery, while 18-year-old Keandre Rogers led to the charge into the house. They were both charged with the passing of Pop Smoke, and they are continuing to await their trial. However, the other two, aged 17 and 15 at the time of the crime, both pleaded guilty to being involved.
One of the 4 men accused of Brooklyn rapper Pop Smoke just pled guilty. The 20-year-old man was 17 at the time of the
They aren't even named since they weren't 18 at the time of the crime. However, the 17-year-old is now 20. He is sentenced to 4 years and 2 months inside of a detention facility. Meanwhile, the 15-year-old, who was the man that did the act, is expected to be held in a state juvenile facility until he turns the age 25. Unfortunately, the 2 younger ones won't have to spend their lives behind bars for what they did. Both Corey Walker and Keandre Rogers will face up to life inside of prison for their charges, but overall, this should be a life lesson to many young rappers in the game to not post every single thing about your life on social media, especially your whereabouts.